Broadcasting live from the mixed-up world of Hyrule, this is the Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament 2023. Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Rotastic, and joining me today on commentary here in a minute will be ALTTTPR. And we are starting off here with a McBoss run between MalXantholos and Yagamoth. Not going to affect the bracket outcomes, but can affect the bracket seeding here. Both of these runners have, in fact, qualified for the bracket pretty much already, but Yagamoth winning could result in a higher seed. You see the small key sitting there in Sanctuary and a map in Link's house. Yagamoth going for the Uncle Play, yet another map in Swamp Palace. Wow, for Swamp Palace, so maps at the Uncle today, so not a huge deal. MalXantholos does find some bombs on the ground in the Lost Woods and skips a piece of heart, a vanilla piece of heart there in the Lost Woods hideout. So this group, the McBoss Flags, that is a map and compass shuffle, meaning all the maps and compasses are shuffled outside of their dungeons, potentially adding a little value to the dungeons themselves. And the bosses are shuffled as well. And basically that's the whole deal. It's full boss shuffle, meaning there will be one of each boss plus 3 duplicates of some boss to make up for the Ganon's Tower bosses. And we are now joined by my co-commentator, ALTTTPR. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yep. Hey everyone. I'm excited to see how this will turn out. 2 very strong runners. I've raced against both of them a few times already, and yeah. This could be very close, and this mode has some very, very weird things it can do to you and your routing. So I wonder how the runners will tackle what's coming to them.
A lot of hoping for that ice rod in case you find a Trinex somewhere. But we did find a lamp in Blind's hut, and we just found a glove and a hook shot apparently in the Kakariko well. So quite a chunk of items available immediately here. Not quite Dark World access, but quite a pile of things. I mean, that's East Death Mountain access.
Which I assume our runners will do sooner than later in this case. Obviously, the glove also gives you access to Back of Escape, and we still have the South Shore to do, which with the hookshot mini Molten Cave is pretty easy to do. So there are a few options open to them, but yeah. Hookshot glove and lamp, probably something once be found on the mountain.
If that doesn't scream Paradox Cave, I don't know what does.
Honestly, I don't really know if there would anything that could scream it more, except for maybe flute in addition to just make sure you get the message.
Could be. I mean, it could just be a guy going, Paradox Cave! That's a guy's scream. Anyway. I'm dumb. Moving on. Alright. That's the Cane of Burna sitting there at the race game, which MalXantholos is going to go ahead and skip. It's not outside the realm of possibility. It could be something that the game would require you to have, but it's not really ever going to be something that you actually need. I mean, maybe if you get like really low hearts in like Spike Cave and don't have any bottles, and like that's a theoretical possibility. Or like maybe it's like your only reliable weapon.
That's the point. Burner is a legitimate weapon that is considered in logic for some bosses. So if it is the only weapon to grab early game, and we, Eastern would logically require a bow, or would require a bow to get to the boss. So this would not matter too much there, but still could be blind, and an early Eastern play might be on the table once we get the bow there, and then maybe that Cane of Burner would unlock the first sword of the seed. So you would think you wouldn't need it, but it is always a gamble, and there is this very little possibility that is just hard required to get.
So MalXantholos found a bottle at Dark Cross. Yagamoth actually went back to buy the bottle vendor's item, which was also a bottle.
I mean, it had a fairy in it, so there's some additional value there. It didn't pay too much attention. I don't think Sickett had anything important.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, it won't hurt MalXantholos for now. Obviously, he will probably check the bottle vendor at some point when he returns to Village of Outcasts or for other stuff to Kakariko.
Yagamoth is going to go ahead and pick up the Cane of Burna here. And so that's going to be a little bit of extra time here, but maybe it's something that will be absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and considering that we also got the bottle already in or on Bottle Vendor, the second one, so we have some more magic available. The ability for Cane of Burner to be your intended weapon for a boss has risen.
Yeah.
So
I think that puts Blind in logic with that.
Blind should actually be in logic with just Cane of Burner, since you can do the fight on a single magic bar.
I know you can. I think the logic actually requires a little bit of magic. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure if
because I know it's very close. Like there's a very small room for error on that fight with just normal magic and Burna.
No matter what the case is, there we do have two bottles, so we have to see. It's definitely if you want to have, or if you are holding it with MalXantholos, you're probably rooting for the Cane of Burner just to not be required.
MalXantholos, on the other hand, did pick up enough money in Mini Moldorm Cave to make a play on Zora that is in fact in logic with that glove.
Yeah. It's not something you're really eager to do without the Moon Pearl, since you cannot also grab Waterfall Fairy, so I'm not really surprised that he's just using the save and quit there, and probably head up the mountain, which it looks like now, which, I mean, we said it already 5 minutes ago, but yeah, we do have the loadout for that, and of course, Zora can be required here, can be or can have a necessary item right now, but I don't think Yagamoth will do that play, considering he doesn't have even enough.
The only way that really hurts anything is if you got the hammer or something up there.
Hammer, Moon Pearl, something that would help you would help you if you grab it early. Maybe a mirror for the mountain could have been nice still to also get Hera access. On the other hand, without any sort of weapon, getting into Hera would also do not really much for MalXantholos at this moment. So, yeah, let's just see what the mountain has for us. It's probably will have anything. Will have something.
All right, so Yagamoth going for the back of escape here, which you've already seen from MalXantholos. And MalXantholos going to go turn in the old man, and then I'm assuming just head to Paradox Cave. That's a sword, which is going to severely diminish the utility of the Cane of Burna.
Yeah. I mean, it still does give you invincibility, which can be nice against some bosses, but yeah, with that sword, MalXantholos has much less to fear about having that Cane of Burner there. And if he grabs the ferry from the bottle vendor at some point, even doing Spy Cave without the burner becomes very easily doable. The ferry, if you have all 7 hearts to use it with, and the iframes you get from reviving, they are just so long you can do Spy Cave really on.
Mhm.
And there was also a ferry in that bottle. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so Spy Cave shouldn't be a worry. Unless we have to leave these ferries behind for death warping or spend them otherwise. But still.
All right, and Yagamoth also going to be heading up the mountain. Interestingly, MalXantholos, upon picking up that sword, decided not to go to Paradox Cave and instead is going into the front of Hyrule Castle, which is an interesting play.
Stopping at the old land with the save point it basically gives you an easy return point that doesn't lose you really any time.
Given that MalXantholos hadn't done the uncle yet, and Yagamoth has, I don't really expect Yagamoth to make this play, although it would get him a sword.
Yeah, and now we do have another possibility to consider. That is Aga access, so that Moon Pearl can just wait on the pyramid. And if MalXantholos were to go for it, not something I would expect with the mountain open, but it is certainly an option now. But yeah, the big difference there is Yagamoth already having done the uncle obviously doesn't really have much reason to return to the castle. On MalXantholos' side, leaving out Uncle and the entire castle that is in logic with the lamp isn't too great, and there is some stuff that still would help you on the mountain. For example, a mirror to grab that bow from Spectacle Rock.
Yep, Spectacle Rock having that bow, certainly something you want to pick up eventually. Unfortunately, won't be able to do that at the moment. But Yagamoth is going to go over to Paradox Cave, and we'll get to see some of this action.
Nothing important in Castle aside from the sword, though. I imagine the small key has to be in the Dark Cross, from what I was seeing, since MalXantholos has done everything and didn't have the key.
It was in Sanctuary.
Oh, okay. Did he go?
The fairy bottle was it.
Okay, yeah.
So we get a fire rod in the first 2 chests of Paradox Cave here, and we'll see what else we get.
Fire does not do too much right now. The cape points Yagamoth to where this likely wants us to go.
Alright, so that's it for Paradox Cave. The cape being the only other really relevant item there. And Yagamoth now going to be able to go for Spiral Cave here.
But yeah, and if this does not turn up anything, we have a weird situation coming up. We do have some one-off checks. We probably see both runners head over to the eastern area, since there are still a lot of checks open there, and we still don't have any Moon Pearl. So doing Aga just really doesn't help us yet.
Yeah. Yes, and then you get the one-off checks of Zora and Agina, and you can do Bridgman. Just bombs and Spiral Cave, so Yagamoth. Now I'm assuming probably going to head for Eastern.
I mean, Yagamoth could go to the castle, still has the front there, but yeah, Eastern just has, with Zasrala, where 3 items wait for us, and Eastern, which has 5 to grab, or 4 without the bow, since we can grab the boss. But since this map compass shuffle, yeah, there are obviously 2 more items than normal in the dungeon. So
Another thing to keep of note is the fact that with the lamp, that big key chest is in fact going to be in logic, no matter what we do.
So we do have a guaranteed 4 items in Logic and Eastern. And also you get information about the Green Pendant, which without or with Map Shuffle we obviously cannot just do a map check to find out which dungeons we have to do. But yeah, knowing that Desert Palace is the Green Pendant can be valuable information.
Interesting, Yagamoth just going for the closet there and not going over to the dungeon. Probably going to go for escape then, which will result in a sword.
Yeah, that is definitely an interesting decision, considering that you do not have a moon pearl. Because if you go now into the frontier and don't find anything, do you just do Aga with not having Zora done, not having done Agina, and 4 items lying there in Eastern, just for 1 check on the pyramid?
I mean, that would be a heck of a play.
It's definitely an...
I mean, it's not entirely illogical just because the game has given you the items to do it, and so it just makes it that much more likely that it needs to be done. But again, the weighing it, the items you have against the items you could have, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, there is some potential upside also to this if you find the mirror and then just can mirror from the pot area towards Eastern, although you cannot turn in Kiki as a bunny, so you won't really save as much time as you maybe wanted to if you do it that way. But yeah, it's certainly something you can do, but considering that you also have 2 fairies in a bottle that you do have to leave behind and then still Death Warp, I think just in the account of efficiency, I would have liked Yagamoth to maybe continue into Eastern, since it's just likely that your Moonball is going to be there. And now having to go back to Eastern on foot will cost some time.
I would be terribly surprised if MalXantholos doesn't go in. Yeah, he's definitely going.
He literally has no reason to not go in there, because he does not have the 3 additional checks in the castle for him to grab anymore. He did walk back to Kakariko to check on the bottle vendor and Sikit, which he had to leave behind, so there is some time that he spent there. But yeah.
It looks like Yagamoth is going for the Agina play here.
Which would makes more sense than going Aga there at that point immediately, I'd say. Agina is something that a lot of runners really do not like to do early, and the way that Yagamoth chose to route this does give him the option of just finding a moon pearl there and maybe and then hoping MalXantholos might do Aga first, which is definitely reasonable in some situation to expect. But yeah.
Alright, just a red rupee on the ledge there, but we did get to see that, so you know the ledge isn't like hiding anything super important.
In addition to Desert Palace being a pendant, it becomes pretty unattractive really quick.
This cave is just a compass of Turtle Rock. The compasses do have some utility in this mode, actually. If you bring up the map in the dungeon and you have the compass, there'll be an icon indicating which boss is actually at the end of the dungeon, so you'll be able to know if you can complete it or not.
And looks like Yagamoth is actually going to do Zora now. Has the money for it, and yeah, is starting a very long walk back to the South Shore to get to the fake flipper. Yeah, Zora is in logic. There is a chance that the game just wants you to do this, or not really do this, but do the in-logic way of just walking past the potion shop, lift the rock, and then walk all the way to Zora.
So far, everything in Eastern Palace has been hot garbage. Yagamoth not even going for our bridge person while we're here.
I mean, it is not in logic, and yeah, so it doesn't really help you. So you have some ways you can route it in better, and later later in the seed. So it makes sense that Yagamoth just wants to find whatever in here, and yeah, looks like Eastern was just empty.
Are we actually going to have the Moon Pearl Agaseed?
So it still could be Zora, but it will be really interesting to see if it is not, and to see what Yaga is doing. And it is not. So now there's always the chance. Yeah, I mean, there's always the chance we collectively just are forgetting about one check, but I don't think that happened here. So yeah. Pyramid Ledge, it is. And to be quite clear, it does not have to be the Moon Pearl there.
Right.
No.
It could be like mirror leading to bow leading to Moon Pearl on the boss of Eastern.
Yep. Welcome to MC Boss Shuffle, the mode where where everything could seem too easy, but can be extremely convoluted still, and even more so than normal, probably.
Yeah, selling 20 rupees for 500 is the kind of scam that I wish I could pull off.
Both runners now retracing the checks the other one just did. Yeah, not surprising that Yagamoth did not risk going to do Agar without having the Eastern first. Even if we know it is right, there's just 4 items here, and yeah. You cannot really, or you do not really want to leave behind the Moon Pearl, which then would just enable to do a lot of stuff in the Dark World the first time you're here.
So it looks like MalXantholos decided to not go to Zora and just go for the Aga play here. So it's going to be our first Aga dip.
Yeah. The decision there is definitely more easily to do, since it's basically a 50-50, and the walk back to Zora, we have seen it from Yagamoth, that's a long one. So
I mean, it's probably almost as long as the Aga climb, maybe if you take away the Aga fight.
Yep, and in addition to that, it really looks like it will be an Aga seed anyway. That decision is much easier to make for MalXantholos, because even if Zora has to Moon Pearl, you do have to do both anyway. So at that point, it really does not matter too much anymore.
Fair.
I mean, obviously, it still could be Mirror on Zora, and that leading to Hammer and Moon Pearl and Hera, but yeah, that probability is less likely than just Eastern having both of them right then and there.
Alrighty. So MalXantholos about to get out of the dark rooms in Aga Tower into sort of the mini gauntlet here. Yagamoth about to get the bad news.
MalXantholos has to be a bit careful. Down to 1 heart.
I was gonna say, I might go for the 2 pots in this room that have hearts in them. There we go.
Only grabs the one. I mean, doing the Egger fight, you can do it pretty much damageless without any risk if you want to.
I don't think we know what boss is at Eastern. I don't think we have the compass yet, and nobody's had the bow to actually go there, so...
Nope, I don't think we know. The compass, we do know we got this for Turtle Rock, and I don't think
we also got the compass for Hera. It was in the very first chest.
Okay, yeah, true. But we also didn't have any access to Hera, so no information about bosses yet.
Both runners have 2 fairies in a bottle.
That is true, actually. So yeah, probably didn't want to spend it there. Having that revive obviously costs a few seconds, and don't really need to have that happen. You can avoid it.
Someone invent an Igor clip? I agree. I don't know how you're going to manipulate their movement like that, but...
I mean, if it were possible, I'm sure people would find a way.
I mean, theoretically it's possible, because we've got arbitrary code execution in this game, but not within the rules of this competition.
Yeah.
You know what's really sad about this situation? When MalXantholos is sitting on 1 heart, he's not going to get refilled after this.
Nope.
When you don't have the Moon Pearl, you don't get refilled.
Yep, that is sad here. Well, it might not be too much of a problem if it's not the Moon Pearl that we're finding here, since you then most likely have to do a save and quit anyway. But it is the Moon Pearl, so you will continue here, and yeah, not having a refill is not too bad since you still have 2 fairies, but yeah. You're not eager to spend one of them right now.
Good old classic Dark World Bunny Seed there.
Yep. So, next decision that MalXantholos did here was to not go to Palace of Darkness. He would have had the money for it, but we cannot obviously not finish it. We do know about a bow, so that may also influence the decision to hope to find a mirror first to combine Pot and Eastern and have a bow available. And of course, with Hookshot and Glove, not only Catfish is open, but we have a whole lot of things to do on the west side of the Dark World.
Yeah. Now, if Catfish just happens to have Mirror, that's like extra gravy. Because you can just check out Zora while you're here. But otherwise, we'll probably be heading back to the west rather quickly.
Yep.
It is just a map, although the map is worth picking up for the information. Gives us the Skull Woods check, and we see a pendant there, as well as it looked like crystals at all of Thievestown, Misery Mire, and Swamp, although I know that the Thievestown and Mire ones were normal. I couldn't tell.
All 3 were.
Okay.
All 3 were normal crystals. There was no red one to be seen.
Well, good to know. I imagine we'll find out what the red ones are pretty soon, eventually, when MalXantholos gets around the whole world here. And speaking of MalXantholos, just going to go ahead and use one of those fairies that we got.
Yep, actually smart. Letting it free and then collecting it. If it does not fly away, which fairies tend to do sometimes, would lose you time. This is actually a lot faster because that revive animation there takes a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those seconds are not something you want to spend without a reason.
Alright, so if you recall, we did get that cape in Paradox Cave, so it's very possible we'll find something here on Bumper Ledge. It is a shield, so I don't think we're going for it.
The shield has some slight utility in the fight against blind to be able to block those fireballs, but that is most likely not worth going all the way through Bumper Cave for any of the runners in this tournament, or they at least deem it not worth the time spending you go up there.
Alright, so MalXantholos dipping into Pendant Skull Woods here, which makes some sense given the fact that the Fire Rod is available.
Yep, and I wanna say that looked like a vanilla moth.
Ooh, that's actually kind of gross, given the 6 hearts only Master Sword situation. I don't love it. I mean, it's really close to like what you would have in vanilla, except that you'd have Tempered Sword.
Okay, also our tracker, brief. I don't know how to pronounce names. I should ask. Has seen an Armoth, so could be there too. I'm definitely not sure on the moth. Would also be an interesting fight there. But Skullwoods is a pendant. This is not an all dungeon seat, so there's not a lot of reason to for MalXantholos to just go for that boss, whatever it is, and especially considering that he just found the hammer in the pinball room. Yeah. A lot of other things you can do now. You have normal Dark World access. We can full clear Thieves Town with an asterisk. We cannot kill Trinex.
Right.
But yeah, that's 6 items there. Crystal Dungeon. I would be surprised if MalXantholos does not attempt to at least do everything up to the boss. Now at boss shuffle, there is no real need for you to go to the attic to bomb open the floor, so doing the back of Thieves Town actually becomes somewhat pendant dungeon inside the crystal dungeon in this mode.
It's the new left side swamp, is what I think.
Yes, it's actually comparable. It's 3 checks with the hammer for, I think, a similar amount of time that left side swamp is, so it's actually slightly better. But it's still comparable. So yeah, you do not have to do it if you want to. If you don't want to. Now, given that we do not have that much else to do currently that we want to do, we could go to port, but knowing that the bow is out there, just a mirror away, you probably would rather try to find the mirror. I expect MalXantholos to probably do the back at this point.
Yeah, I imagine so.
But what he also could do is just go into the boss room, scout it, and then death warp out. You obviously should not forget about the second ferry you have in that case. But let's see what he decides to do here.
So Stargazer, you mentioned the MC Hammer thing. Oh, we got an Argus here. That is a perfectly reasonable fight. My favorite thing about the hammer is that in the Japanese, it actually says you found the MC hammer. I kid you not.
Yep, that is there. Argus is a boss that we can defeat, definitely. It does also give MalXantholos some options to do here. He has not fully done Village of Outcast yet, so I imagine he at least goes out to check the chess game and the brewery, but he then might go back into Thieves Town, do the back for the last 3 items, and then do a save and quit and start at Hype Cave, since he still not has anything to leave Thieves Town if he goes back in. But he would then have a reasonable continuing point after this. On the other hand, he also can decide to just skip the 3 items.
And he's piecing out for now, but he's still got a couple items here in the town to grab, so who knows?
Yeah. The point here is if you were to go back in immediately without the mirror, you would have had to death warp, which is not the fastest way to do there in Thieves Town. You could do it at the big chest by repeatedly falling into the abyss there once the tiles drop, but it's not the fastest way to Death Orb. So probably better to just grab these chests first and then get back in and have the easy save it out. MalXantholos says, nope, not doing Thieves Town back here.
I honestly feel like the way I would end up doing the Death Orb down there is just go to the big chest first, and then just let the Zazax kill me in the Maiden's Room.
Also doable, much more feasible on green mail instead of blue mail that both just found in the chest game, because that will reduce the damage there. And the Zazax can just run away from you, which would make them slower. But
oh, hello! That is a pair of flippers for MalXantholos.
That does not really do much for us yet. It will open up Pyramid Ferry and the guy under the bridge in Logic. But that's it for now.
Waterfall Ferry, but yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. I don't know what I said there.
You said Pyramid Ferry.
Yeah.
That's fine. That is fine. Words are dumb.
It is a ferry with two treasure chests right in front of it, so...
They are very similar. It's easy to get things mixed up.
Yeah. But aside from that, the flippers do not really do much for us yet. But Titans or the Mirror would respectively open up a dungeon to access for us. So.
All right, it's Hype Cave time. What do we got? We got 20 rupees and a piece of heart and 300 rupees and 10 arrows and a bottle with a bee. That is some hot garbage.
So absolutely nothing that would have made worth the trip. Yeah, something minor to note: MalXantholos did not check for the red crystals, which at this stage still could have been interesting information, even knowing just 2 more crystals in addition to what you already have. Probably should not make too much of a difference, considering that we are not really that able to clear that much more dungeons that could lead us to the red bomb being open. But with the hammer we do have access to Hera now.
Yagamoth is going for the back of Thieves Town here, so this is going to be new information on Yagamoth's side as well.
Yeah, it's following up what
Titansmiths, hello!
What I mentioned about the 3 items being here and not having that much more options open. But yeah, those Titansmiths are very, very good for Yagamoth. And yeah, MalXantholos has still a few things to do, so they will be left behind for a bit, and that could be very, very painful. Because those myths are likely to follow, to open up more progression. And yeah.
Oh, we got a mirror in the Waterfall Ferry. Quite nice.
Now, this is not that great for MalXantholos. He can now do Swamp Palace, Asterisk, Trinix, of course. It also makes it easier to return to Village of Outcast and do more stuff there, since he has some more open checks around there. Without the myths, it actually does not incentivize some more to do the mountain. Well, it does a bit. It makes the way to Hera easier, but
oh, I guess the small key was locked in the big chest. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. It is compass and map shuffle, but it is not key shuffle in any sort or form, so the keys have to be in their respective dungeons like we are known for them to be. So,
very nice double pull spin techniques here from Yagamoth to get these puffs down.
And actually having not found the small key in the front might have influenced MalXantholos' decision to not go in the back, since there's one less item to be there. So it's only 2.
And a nice fire rod kill on Argus to finish it off. Yagamoth picks up that crystal as well.
Yeah, there's now an interesting decision point to be made. Since Yagamoth has the mids, he has more things open to do, which makes him less incentivized to go for the waterfall fairy. Even if he does find the flippers pretty soon. So will be interesting what's happening here. So also Yagamoth has the option to start the smith chain, grab the smith, do hammer packs. It would require him to walk back to Kakariko, which is pretty slow, and he has not much else to do here at the moment, except for when he maybe wants to go back to Skull Woods. Speaking of, did Yagamoth do the front? Oh, he has to. He has the hammer. Okay. Yeah. So there's no much reason to go for it. So grabbing the smith is actually something I don't really see here happening for Yagamoth, or at least not intending to keep it. It's a decision that did not check on hammer packs, since you can do that somewhat quickly.
It looks like he's going for Smith here.
Okay. I mean, Skullwood's still a pendant, and there are items on the back there. We did get the fire rod early. So who knows?
Meanwhile, thus far in Swamp Palace, MalXantholos only finding the compass of Eastern in there. We were talking about that earlier. So if we ever go back to Eastern, we can figure out what that boss is without actually going to the back.
I mean, for MalXantholos, this is actually a pretty nice find, considering he has Now that makes your walk back to Kakariko much more attractive. Hello, flute.
Yes, the flute now for Yagamoth. That's going to mean you get actual access to a dungeon that is in fact required here.
What I wanted to say before Yagamoth found the flute, MalXantholos has access to the bow now. We don't know if Pot or Eastern are both crystals. We do know that one of them has to, because Desert and Skullwoods are already 2 pendants. There's just one more to be. But MalXantholos could beat both dungeons if he grabs the bow. So I'd imagine after Swamp he will most likely grab the bow and then attempt this, maybe peek into Hera, and see if you can finish that one. But yeah, finding that Eastern Palace compass for that combined dungeons is definitely something nice to see.
Well, Eastern and Ice are going to be our 2 5-6 crystals according to Yagamoth, so now we know that little piece of information.
Yep, so that would definitely make Eastern Palace a necessary dungeon and help MalXantholos. Finding the compass also might be a slight indicator for that. Not 100% sure if sensitive rules apply to wild maps and compasses, but if they were, maps and compasses are actually logically required to beat the boss. So finding a compass for a dungeon could be a slight indicator that it might be a crystal, since the pendant compass did not have to turn up. On the other hand, those maps and compasses could always be on their respective boss. So
can we just shout out to MalXantholos for doing the block clip on left side swamp with the hook shot?
He likes to do it, I know that. It
saves like half a second, maybe, and it loses you like 14 if you fail it.
I mean, saying half a second, that's 30 frames. I think that is way more than the trick actually saves. It's really in the frame count that of time it actually saves. But yeah, it is definitely a nice trick, and very painful if you fail it, which is not that hard to fail.
All right. Well, Yagamoth activates the flute as it is tradition, and oh, have I ever mentioned that post-Aga Light World sucks?
It gets a bit more annoying in some spots, but there are a few spots where the changing enemies actually make the walk easier for you if you
Yeah, there's a few places.
if you
Like
do
up on
remember
Death
that they are
Mountain.
different.
A couple places.
Oh, that mountain gets even more annoying, especially if you do not have the hookshot. Because that death rock there in front of the bridge over to the east of mountain, that is just
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. Okay, I guess I'm backward. I thought the dead rock was not there if it was post-Aga. I'm backwards.
no, Death Mountain has only death rocks pre-Aga, and post-Aga there are additional death rocks and those hoppers on there. And Cold Steel is a beatable boss if you have the complete magic for it, so have to be a bit careful.
Luckily, did not lose any magic there, so I'm going to deal with this hammer style. Does need to be pretty careful not to die.
Well,
still has the one fairy, I believe.
Yep. We are on Blue Mail, so we do tank a little bit here. And with that fairy, you obviously have some safety still in the back pocket. Woof! That was a close one.
I was like, that ice nearly got him, and then Cold Stare was like, hello!
Yeah, hammer timing is definitely not the easiest thing to manage, but MalXantholos has done pretty well here, and with the fairy in back pocket, he wasn't really concerned too much, so it's unfortunate that he had to spend it, but he still collected a crystal.
Now, the unfortunate part being that Swamp Palace, kinda hot garbage, this whole thing.
Yeah. On the other hand, Yagamoth actually followed the Titansmiths up to the mountain, which means he also didn't get the Mirror from Waterfall Fairy and is doing the long walk around to Hera. So, yeah, the Titansmiths or MalXantholos not having them definitely is not great for him, but Yagamoth also got baited into some walking that wasn't necessary to do. And there we have a Mortula in Tower of Hera. That's Mortula is the boss
much
that
easier boss.
yeah. Every runner that encounters Mortula in Skywoods probably remembers it as a nightmare, but once you encounter Mortula outside of its boss room, you very quickly realize the real boss in Skywoods is never the boss itself, it's always the room.
Yeah. The boss of Skullwoods is actually the floor.
Yeah.
And there just happens to be another enemy in there.
Yep. And meanwhile...
my favorite... Oh, go ahead.
No, just you go ahead.
My favorite... Ooh, Boots, hello. Sorry. My favorite boss to encounter in Skullwoods is Cold Stare.
Ah, no, that's objectively wrong. There's only one correct answer there, and that's Helma's okay.
Okay. If you're talking about entertainment value, yes, I'll give you that. I'm just talking about how fun it is for me to fight them, because I just like running Cold Stare into those spikes.
That's actually a pretty good thing. You probably want to have at least a Master Sword for it, because the Fighter Sword will not push around the Cold Stare clouds, so you would have had to spin for it, which can be actually pretty hard with that limited space you have on that moving floor, but yeah.
Alright, we got the Compass of Pod there from Moth, but yeah, Boots for Yagamoth, which is very nice to have, but again, could delay the checks on the waterfall for a while.
Yep. And it would be a great find for Yagamoth to have if MalXantholos weren't just doing the exact same dungeon at pretty much the same time. So no real advantage for Yagamoth for doing the long walk there, and this is kind of turning out to be pretty interesting. Yagamoth has to do Waterfall Ferry, which he can basically do at any point with Flippers and Flute, but it's only 2 items. The Zora checks are all done already, except for Catfish maybe. So not real reason to highly prioritize them, but they are very quick, so you really could just do them anytime. But
if I were Yagamoth, I'd probably try to route him in when I was thinking about doing Ice Palace.
Would be probably a very logical choice, which might be actually very close to being done, since
True.
we do have everything we need to for Ice Palace, except for maybe the Cane of Somaria to make it faster. Compass for Swamp.
Theoretically, the boss can be locked behind Cane if the keys are distributed properly.
Yeah. Also, it could always be Trinex in there, so you could not actually finish it. But
right.
Yeah, without the mirror, Yagamoth does not have access to the bow we know on Spectacle Rock, so he has less incentive to try and finish Pot and Eastern. Or less ways to do, so Ice Palace might be more on his timetable. For MalXantholos, those Titan Smiths are still quite a bit off, because he has the bow, so he most likely will go into Pot and Eastern, even if Pot is the last pendant, which it's actually... No, okay, we don't know Turtle Rock yet, so there's a 50-50 on that, but even if Pot were to be a pendant, there are just 7 items in there, so with the bow and having the mirror to mirror out over to Eastern, you obviously go in there and expect them to find the mids there.
Turtle Rock requiring bombos here today. We don't know where any of the medallions are right now, but we are going to see Yagamoth check out Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave.
Yep. Checks that MalXantholos does not have access to without the Titan Smiths. So let's see if there's something important in here. Just money.
We did just see a rupee on the island, so nothing there.
And also nothing in Spy Cave, so something more that Yagamoth could skip. He decides to. Which, the way he routes this would actually make sense. To not have to walk out of here. No, but still decides to probably head over back to Spy Cave.
I can't think of any other reason to walk out of here. If you had the mirror, maybe, so you could flute away, but nope.
Yagamoth continuing to be very throughout, checking stuff, not leaving much behind. That Waterfall Ferry wasn't forced skip the way Yagamoth played it with that early Zora trip, since we did not have access to the Moon Pearl early.
Oof, Yagamoth bonking a bit here. I don't think he's going to run out of magic, but yeah.
Yeah, even if he were, he should still have both his ferries, so there wouldn't be not much of a problem, but yeah.
Alright, that does it for Yagamoth. Let's see where he decides to go next.
That is probably Ice Palace. I can't imagine him
Looks like it.
Running to Eastern. Okay.
Alright, so that's going to do him some good because he's getting these flipper checks taken care of.
Makes sense.
You just get the map of Turtle Rock here in Pod, so if we stepped outside, we could know if we needed to be in there.
We also know that we cannot finish Pod until we find the Ice Rod. Because I believe that was a Trinex this time.
Oh, really?
I mean, the map checks that MalXantholos does, or the dungeon map checks, are very quick, so I always just have to... a very quick glimpse to take, but...
I did not even see the icon, not gonna lie, so...
Yeah. I mean, myself as a runner in this tournament also, I'm of course familiar with the mode, so I'm kinda in the mindset of just trying to glimpse whatever is there on there if it happens. So it's probably easier for me to catch. But yeah. Still, that's in a commentator's position, it's always harder than as a runner, because as a runner, you know the exact moment when you want to check and where you have to look. And yeah. You don't have
have
that luck.
run this game before, and I have been in these tournaments before, but it has been a hot minute, so...
Yeah. Yagamoth has the mirror and now has actually some decisions to make, because he can now grab the bow and is about to do that. And probably smartly delaying Ice Palace, since he does not know what boss is in there, and he knows that at least Eastern is a crystal. He does not have the Cane of Samaria, so full clearing Ice Palace will take longer than when you have it.
And there are just some bosses for which the bow makes it easier.
Yeah.
You know?
That too. And Yagamoth has not done Swamp Palace, which he could also do. So he does not have the Eastern Palace compass. So one very minor thing that could happen here is that there's actually a second Trinex also in Eastern, and MalXantholos will be able to know it upon entering Eastern Palace. Yagamoth would not. So that would be a very unfortunate fringe case scenario that could happen.
Alright, MalXantholos going through pod here won't be able to finish it unless we somehow find the ice rod within this dungeon, which is possible, but...
Yeah, and I also assume he would have liked to, for that map, to rather be the pod map, so he just knows and does not have to do the map check on TR. But yeah. No ice rod to be found. And yep. Yagamoth confirming that indeed was an ice rod, and I want to say that was a blue crystal.
It was a crystal on pod, on Turtle Rock, yeah.
So that in turn would make Palace of Darkness a pendant. That is very obviously a Moldorm, so no problem, we are able to defeat that with ease.
So now, here's the question. How many eyes is Moldorm going to have this time?
Ooh, I'm going with one, because that one looks probably the most disturbing.
Yeah, the one-eyed Moldorm is pretty goofy.
I mean, the 8-eyed Moldorm is obviously a classic. That one just wants to look around. But yeah, there are some weird things with the Moldorm eyes that happen.
Alright, so Yagamoth going to go ahead and deal with pod first as well. MalXantholos is going to go deal with Moldorm.
There actually there wasn't really anything noteworthy or important now that I think about it. So it really depends on when will MalXantholos decide to return to Thieves Town, and will he pick up the flute if he is there? Because if he gets the mids, he immediately gets a lot of more open options open, and doing a Smith chain at that point, which is rather slow, is not that attractive.
We got 3-eyed Moldorm here. So Palpatine's fist gets that in the chat there. Good job. Not that we have a guessing game for that. There you go. For some reason, the Moldorm eyes always remind me of, like, chemistry class in high school. We learned about, like, the valence electrons of a thing. And so I always name the Moldorms based on the element with that number of electrons in its shell. So that's the boron Moldorm.
Yeah, can see that.
I don't know why I'm such a huge nerd, but there you go.
I mean, it's definitely one of the better things that can remind us of. Or I'm very boring in those regards. Yeah, MalXantholos, you do not have the myths, so while King's Tomb is logic, this is not the way to get there. Without the Titan's myths, you actually have to come from the Dark World and mirror to that spot. So only Bonk Rocks easily doable here for MalXantholos. Of course, we do have that check open, which leads to the shovel.
More delayed gratification there.
Who doesn't love a good fetch quest chain? Most of the runners probably don't, but viewers most likely are really appreciative of them. But it looks like MalXantholos will head back to Village Outcast at least. I imagine his order in mind is to finish the rest of Thieves Town and then do the back of Skull Woods if he has to. But let's see if he's
and then
actually
maybe
doing
go
it
into
that way.
King's Tomb. He could be doing King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge first. I don't know. So going to Skullwoods first here.
I might actually head over to King's Tomb first.
Yeah, that's possible.
Not sure if he goes to the back here. Certainly can. Looks like it's no problem. Nope. Just probably going right. Graveyard Ledge, King's Tomb. He did show that he wanted to do King's Tomb right now, so might as well do this. Yeah. Of course, for MalXantholos not having the found the Titan's myths up until this point, you are more and more limited in your options.
So I wanted to address something I saw when MalXantholos was running through the back of Eastern here. And I don't know if this is something you've seen before. Ice Rod on the King's Tomb, so that Trinex could be a thing. But like here in this room where Yagamoth is doing the Igor. He fired a second arrow and it didn't work. And I'm trying to decide whether it was either too fast an arrow or if the sword beam somehow canceled it.
This sword beam cancelled it most likely. I did notice it too. I wanted to mention it, but then got lost in my train of thought. So yeah, I noticed
didn't know
it
sword beams could cancel that. That's really weird.
Any damage source can cancel another damage source if it happens in a certain amount of time, which is one of the big problems with Modular and the spikes. That is the same principle. Yeah, the sword beam hit on the Igor after the arrow turns the arrow damage into sword beam damage, which is nothing because the sword beam doesn't damage the Igor, so it just don't do anything there. The second arrow basically disappears.
Well, there you go. It's it's a well understood mechanic, and we've seen some of the same things with Moth and things, but I wanted to address that as a sort of inside baseball here thing that some people might not know about.
Now, knowing where the ice rod is, kind of unfortunate for Yagamoth that he has now mirror and flute, so he is less likely to do a save and quit after a specific thing he did. Instead, he can just mirror and flute. But that save and quit to Sanctuary would enable him to just grab the ice rod from King's Tomb, which in turn would, dipping any dungeon which you don't know the boss of yet, much more easy on the nerves, because you don't have to fear the second Trinex. Of course, Yagamoth knows about the Trinex and Pillars of Darkness, so the... Okay.
I
The
didn't say
probability of a second Trinex, of a Trinex being in any of the dungeons we don't know about the boss yet is considerably reduced. But yeah, going to the back of Skull Woods here for MalXantholos definitely pays out, because that was a Bombus medallion here under the bridge in Skull Woods, and we do need that since Turtle Rock is a crystal.
Yep, we need both the Bombos and Quake medallions today. And we get Armos here in the back of Skull Woods.
Yep. Confirming that our tracker definitely has better eyes than me. And the Armos Knights fight on this room is a weird one. They take the damage from the spikes if you hit them in them, but they can also sometimes move around the top and bottom of the room, teleporting in some ways. The moving floor makes it hard to fire arrows. It's a weird fight.
Wow, and ran completely out of arrows right there at the end. And that's the thing. No runner in this game has the preparation necessary to perfectly do like an Armos quick kill in that room. It's impossible.
Well, impossible might not be the wrong word, I guess.
Okay, it is possible, but I don't think it's necessarily possible to set up on purpose.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you would expect to be done consistently. That situation is so rare that even if there were an obscure setup that might give you a good shot at this, I guess most runner probably won't really bother that or learning it, because it really is not that often even able to use. And
unfortunately, we all have a limited amount of time on the face of the planet. We're just not that much to gain from that.
Yeah, I mean, if you are doing this mode only, then maybe that would be a consideration. But yeah, there are so many more things to do and to learn in this game, so it's probably not high on anyone's priority list ever. If it even exists. But MalXantholos back on the way to grab the Titansmiths, and actually this order, having done Skullwoods first, is working out in his favor, because if you did find the Titansmiths first, I would suspect he would not be much interested in the back of Skullwoods anymore for a time, which in turn could be something that Yagamoth puts off quite a long time still, because he does not really have that much reason to do it right now.
Yeah. I mean, basically, though, for Yagamoth, really the only thing he has left is Ice Palace.
True. I mean, yeah, he did.
He could do desert. He could do like checkerboard cave, but yeah.
A few mirror checks are still out there to do. Yeah, using Slack Buffer for the dive down. Not something you see too often. Most runners do it without, but it's nonetheless a way to make some of these input reliant tricks easier on you.
Fair enough.
I'm personally one that uses a menu buffer for the spin speed Hera pods, so I speak from experience when I say that.
Well, all right then. But are you one of those people who can do unbuffered mimic clip?
Nope. I maybe could if I really would bother to try and learn it. I just never did, and I just for myself said I can do the unbuffered if I have to. There are probably other things that I should be worry about learning, if I ever find the motivation to do more in that regard.
All right, so Yagamoth taking care of Cold Stare significantly faster than MalXantholos, just because had some backup magic there.
Yep. Using the fire for that fights when you're on Master Swords will make things a lot easier for you. MalXantholos, of course, with the mirror in combination to the mids now has a way easier time of doing the Smith chain, so him grabbing the flute is actually much easier to do. And
grab that flute and go turn in the blacksmith, and maybe purple chest will happen. I don't know.
I mean, you can flute down the purple chest, so I would be very surprised if it not happens at this point. Would be more interesting to see if MalXantholos is maybe interested in doing K45. If he hasn't already, I don't quite remember.
Yeah, I don't think so. Also, he did get the shovel out of Bonk Rock, so I don't know if he checked that yet either.
That's what I mentioned. Mirroring here, going for the not for the shovel.
He's got to go activate the flute.
Oh right, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right, so Yagamoth, as expected, going for Ice Palace here. It's kind of the main attraction at the moment.
Did we have the Ice Palace compass, or did Yagamoth check on the boss? There is still that slim probability of him second Trinex in here, which would be unfortunate with the Ice Rod being quite accessible.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain, honestly.
And of course,
going the old-fashioned way through Ice Palace.
Oh,
interesting. We have a book in the purple chest for MalXantholos.
Yeah, which now kind of makes you regret not running down the purple chest in the Dark World, because if you had done that, you could have just re-entered your portal and immediately checked almost had it. So, of course, you cannot know that beforehand, but it is very unfortunate that this happened in this particular.
So the only locations where Trinex can be are the two Moldorm arenas, or where he can't be, are the two Moldorm arenas and Moth's room. Everywhere else is a possibility. So yes, it is possible that Trinex is here in Ice Palace.
We do have the one required Trinex that has to be in every seat of this mode, this time in Palace of Darkness, so there is no necessity that there will be one more, but since we did not see 3 duplicates yet, there's always this off chance.
Yes. Yeah, blind on land mode 2 is a problem, I think. I think it's just because when you kill the first head, it opens the door.
That is because the boss does not leave the screen, so it's never considered that, which is the funny part about the Argus.
Right, because when you kill all the puffs in Argus, when it jumps out of the arena, it's like, okay, it's dead.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much the principle the mimic clip functions on. No? The potion camera unlock that the potion camera unlock uses for port. You move the mimics off the screen, and they are considered dead, so the door goes open. And
Compass of Ice, Landmo is in Ice Palace.
Yep.
Just literally compass right here in the dungeon. Sure.
Yep. Giving Yagamoth peace of mind. MalXantholos going for the green pendant here.
Interesting.
That is a choice to make. Of course, we still need a Quake medallion for Misery Maya, so we are not in go mode yet.
And the Cane of Samaria for both of them.
That also, so we do not have that much else open where they could be, but there is an entire ice palace open that might require the cane for the boss, but nothing else, so it always could be in there. And we all know, since the icebreaker was found, that the Cane of Somaria loves to be in the ice palace biggie chest, just to taunt you.
Every single time.
Somehow I'm a bit disappointed now.
Sad day.
That's a unique item for MalXantholos at least, so you cannot complain too much there. Fortunately, it's not going to help him in any way.
Yeah, I just missed what that was. What was it?
It was a single arrow.
Fair enough. It is technically a unique item.
Yep.
Alright, we're going to see a checkerboard cave, which we have not seen yet. That is the Cane of Somaria. Sitting right there.
Now, this will make the trip for MalXantholos into Ice Palace much more comfortable. Being able to do Icebreaker will considerably speed up that full clear. But Quake is still missing. But we do now have an entire crystal dungeon open that we can do with that Cane of Somaria where Quake could be hiding. That is Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock is a definite possibility here.
Not much surprising that MalXantholos does choose to do Ice Palace first. He can full clear it. He has the Cane of Somaria now. He can beat every boss, so he doesn't have to worry about anything anymore. So doing a red crystal here just makes sense.
Right, so Yagamoth is headed back to the West Dark World here, so very well could end up checking Skull Woods or King's Tomb, etc.
Yep. I mean, chat mentioning Ice Palace or Cold Steel, or more the Ice Palace boss was Somaria locked. Is an interesting piece of information considering that Ice Palace is red crystal. Since Yagamoth can now know that the red bomb is not able to have the Cane of Somaria.
Could still have Quake though, and so it's not without its merit.
Yeah.
You see Yagamoth going for the purple chest here, so I imagine this is just going to be a play toward the bonk checks up here.
Yep. Will be able to do the Graveyard Ledge, can then hop down into King's Tomb, should still take the purple chest with him. But yeah, then can loot that away and will get the book and the Ice Rod, which is definitely good for Yagamoth, just having that Ice Rod around and knowing that even Trinex cannot stop you anymore. Will make things much easier for him as a runner. Even if that Ice Rod might not even be necessary.
Interesting. Yagamoth now just going ahead and taking the purple chest off. Hasn't done the bonk checks yet. Could do the bonk checks later from the light world, not a problem. Now finds the book. That could lead to more distractions.
So that is again a curious choice. It might not really matter, of course. There is no need or no necessity for a second Trinix. So honestly, Yagamoth doesn't really have to find the Ice Rod until we know there is one more Trinix that is required. But of course, you don't want to find out the hard way, like a lot of people found out in the live qualifier.
The ice rod was at the King's Tomb location where I go.
Did get an almost tablet check, just 20 rupees. And going back, is this going to be
Big
the red
bomb.
bomb now?
Yeah. Red bomb situation, I'm pretty sure. A little over an hour and 20 minutes into the seed now. Shout outs to Reeve, the tracker, for keeping track of all the items here. And of course, shout outs to the runners. Make sure you give them a follow here on Twitch if you're interested. And even if you're not interested, do it anyway.
You can find the links in the chat.
I completely forgot that we had Agaseeds. As Yagamoth goes the light world way here.
Yep, that's actually one of the upsides you have when you do Aga. You can do a faster red bomb turn-in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't really make other Aga worth just to do that, because time save is not that
Absolutely
great,
not.
but it is some slight upside if you have to do it. Can use green pendant turn-in for MalXantholos.
Hey, free blue potion from the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, but the 2 items were not helpful, and that's half magic, so that is kind of a blue potion in a way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pendant.
Just about as useful. Alright, MalXantholos now going to take that newly found Cane of Samaria and head up the mountain to Turtle Rock. Also has not done Hookshot Cave or Super Bunny Cave, so I imagine this is going to be a lot of checks.
Yep. And has the book for the Ether Tablet check now, so that's the way he takes the path across Hera to go up the mountain instead of just using Hookshot. And it's just one more check that you can route in on the way to all the checks on Dark Death Mountain that MalXantholos now can do. And that's the wrong
Vanilla
medallion.
Ether!
The one time where the Vanilla Ether really isn't your friend, because you would have liked it to be not the Vanilla
Baited all day.
Oh, this might be a dead rock situation. Yep, MalXantholos despawning the dead rocks, moving them off the screen.
Alright, it's time for a Turtle Rock entry.
And I don't think we do have any checks left besides Turtle Rock and Trinix and Pillars of Darkness that could lead to Quake that we haven't seen, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Turtle Rock is definitely the most promising location right now.
I mean, chances are it probably has to be in here or something that leads to Quake, so this is looking very, very good for MalXantholos now. He is just straight up ahead.
Yagamoth, on the other hand, is going to pick up that Cane of Samaria right now, and so as long as they can pick up the Bombos medallion at some point, at least get back on track, has to get over to Skull Woods before we can get that Bombos.
Yep. That is the unfortunate path on Yagamoth's part on Yagamoth's side. Going for the green pendant here also. Without the access to Turtle Rock and with only Skullwood's back as the other options. Hello, Quake.
Yep. There's our Quake, right there.
Yeah, and MalXantholos doesn't even continue, has no reason to do so, can just go do finish mile, then return back here and run over to GT after finishing Turtle Rock. So, yeah.
Fair enough. That'll do it. That is official go mode for MalXantholos, even if we do find a Trinex at some point that is required.
Yep. Now, MalXantholos definitely wouldn't complain about finding silvers or at least the third sword, but there is no necessity for it anymore. No. I can't quite remember if MalXantholos has any magic potion left. I assume he would at least want to have one in reserve, as long as he is a Master Sword Silverless. Not that he would need it with half magic, but I guess with having the flute he would probably buy one more, at least one potion if he doesn't have a magic restore back pocket. Considering that it's still boss shuffle, magic is a valuable resource on the climb, and just having one.
Alright, so Yagamoth deals with the desert boss, picks up that single arrow, and peacing out to go turn in the green pendant. We know we'll get the half magic, which is a poor consolation prize at this point, I would say. There's our big key, and MalXantholos is off to the races.
Yeah, no reason to do any more in this dungeon. Again, sword or silvers would be nice, but they are not needed. Get a full magic refill here, that should be enough for this dungeon to clear it at least.
Mm-hmm.
And Yagamoth probably now on the way to the back of Skullwoods. Not going to do pot first in case the pedestal would just have your required item, which is something you could do at this point in the race for Yagamoth. Well, he couldn't. He doesn't have the ice rod. Never mind. Yeah, this is the only open choice to him, really. Could do King's Tomb, but he did decide against the boost checks for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, might as well do the checks that your opponent is less likely to have done to have a chance still. If you are
We've
feeling
got
behind.
Vanilla Vitreous.
Maybe not the boss MalXantholos was hoping for, but with the cape and half magic and Master Sword spins, this is quite easily doable. You have the bow for the second phase. You should probably learn to take that last hit though. This one is fine in the goo.
And there it goes. Vitreous is down, picks up a small key, and that is crystal number 6 for MalXantholos. Just got to go finish off Turtle Rock, and then we'll be done here. Yagamoth picking up the Bombos medallion from Skullwoods and is piecing out, although he's going to go ahead and check the pedestal here.
Yeah, I mean, for Yagamoth now the Bombos medallion opens up Turtle Rock, which is much more attractive with its, what is it, 7+1 item that it has to offer compared to the 1 item left on the Skullwoods boss. So yeah, absolutely makes sense. Of course, when you have to go out anyway, no reason to not check pedestal, because that's still a chance there. Yeah. Now doing the save and quit, doing the boots checks, but it is probably too little too late, even if the ice rod would be needed at this point, because MalXantholos is already back on the way up to Turtle Rock. And if there's nothing unfortunate happening anymore, he's not really give up that advantage he has currently.
All right. So Yagamoth also taking all those items right up to Turtle Rock, likely to pick up the Quake Medallion as well. Probably peace out, see what happens. But MalXantholos is going to, actually gonna check the Hookshot Cave real quick. I'm imagining at this point we're looking for a sword or something. Because it's not that slow to check those things. Does Yagamoth not know that Pod is a pendant?
I imagine Yagamoth, especially with having found this bomb so late.
And maybe you're just going for the oddball play because you're like, well, if it's not here, I'm dead.
I would imagine so. Yagamoth had some, unfortunate routing decisions. He can know that the way to Hera was easier if you grab the flute, if you grab the mirror from Waterfall Ferry, which is reasonably doable in the seat. He has found the mids and back of Thieves Town early, but that is actually questionable if it helped him or if it actually hurt him. So there's no reason to feel ahead because of just that. And he has done some slow things. Just found the ice rods when you also could have had that quite a bit earlier. So probably reasonable to assume that in his situation that you have to make a play towards finding Quake where your opponent wouldn't be for you, which we see is the correct thing, but it was in Todd Rock anyway, so yeah, unfortunate for Yagamoth at this point, but this will not happen anymore.
All right, well, it's try next time.
Also, Hammer Trinex, since you do not have Temple Sword, the faster option, or at least for the Firehead. For the Ice Head, with the Fire Rod splash damage, you can also use Master Sword slashes, but yep. We did see at least one Trinex fight this race.
Excellent.
Now, it's not said that there couldn't be another, and I said that the MalXantholos shouldn't give up this advantage if nothing too bad happened. There's still Ice Trinex that can happen that locks the Ice, the GT Big Key, and that one can be something. So,
And
this race is not over.
Nothing doing for Yagamoth there. Quake was in the first couple of chests here in Turtle Rock.
Smartly, Yagamoth did decide to save and quit out of the boss fight after seeing the item, since he does not need to grab the pendant, no need to wait out that cutscene. Instead, he can just save and quit out and head straight up the mountain. So Yagamoth will find Quake soon on the right side of Desert. Yes, it is a 4-entrance entry dungeon, 4-entrance palace, but I meant Turtle Rock. So
at least you didn't call it Hyrule Castle.
I mean,
also a 4-entrance dungeon.
All dungeons with the same amount of entrances. So They are somewhat interchangeable in some ways in certain modes.
This sounds like the words of somebody who plays too much entrance right now.
That is not true, although I did participate in cross keys tournaments.
Okay, there. All right. Well, people are putting in their guesses for the Big T guessing game. That's about time on that. All right, we got bombs on the right, full heart on the left, and we're headed back to the left side of GT. Torch has a small key.
Yagamoth finally acquired the Go mode item, decides to continue to save the transitions you have to go, you have to do going out of Turtle Rock and back into Turtle Rock. Should be slightly faster, but you might miss out on potential tempered sword and Maya this way, so there are also upsides to doing it the way MalXantholos did. But overall, the way Yagamoth did might be slightly faster. But we're talking here about seconds. Can we... Meanwhile, still no big key for MalXantholos. Didn't quite see where he started, so not sure the exact number count.
So we did the first four on the first two on the right, and then just headed left. So
Okay.
into rando room, not there. So moving right along to Bob's chest and ice almost, or ice whatever.
Which is also interesting decisions, especially in this mode, considering the boss on ice. More runners might favor doing the stealth room first, then do right side, so you can leave the ice palace, the boss on ice for last. Now we actually found the big key on number 14. Which it should be then, and we indeed have Ice Trinix. MalXantholos does show us, but has no need to defeat him. So
hey,
just
I appreciate the knowledge for the viewers.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. There was actually no reason for him to go down there, except maybe to get a sword, right?
Yeah,
if it was an easy boss, you might could have gone for 3 chests in hopes of a sword.
Yep, that's actually a very legitimate consideration you can take there. If it is a very fast boss, there are a few, or maybe just 2 or 3 that you could reasonably do, and we are still Master Sword Silverless, so either upgrade would considerably help in the climb and on Ganon. So
with the traditional route, that would have been 14, is what it was.
Yeah. Would be 14 if MalXantholos didn't do the compass chest on the right. It would be 18 if he did. I don't know. I don't really know. I actually have to worry about other stuff because yeah.
Yeah, you've got business to take care of here in a minute, don't you?
Yep. I mentioned that I'm also running this tournament, and I didn't mention that without reason because my last race for this group stage is actually coming up in 10 minutes for me. So yeah, I unfortunately cannot be here much longer.
if you need to bail out, just let me know. I will be able to handle things from here. Yeah, make sure you're able to get yourself together for that race. I don't want to waste your time.
I mean, this might have been good preparation, as with how the mode selection works and what I know of the possible modes, MC Boss is actually the most likely mode, I think, for our upcoming race. So maybe I learned a few things here in this race that I can immediately use. We will see.
All right. Good luck with that, of course, and don't get the seeds mixed up in your head.
Yeah, I will try my best. I definitely will hope for a Moth on Lammo 2, though. That's a very comfy fight. Like MalXantholos just showed us.
Y'all are getting the German restream over here.
Yeah, there's actually some implications to my race too regarding the German community. If I win, I can actually secure a tiebreaker race for one of my fellow German community members. So,
whoa! Wow, silvers and powder.
Yeah, that are two items you very much like to see in this specific room, because you can just use the powder for an easy refill before the last boss. And yeah, having silvers for a potential victories that's coming up here would be very nice. That sounds like a vanilla Moldom, though.
Other than the number of eyes.
Yep. Of course, the number of eyes on Moldorm bosses in a specific seed is consistent, so if you see any one 3-eyed Moldorm, if you see another Moldorm, it will also have 3 eyes. Yeah. Otherwise, it is just...
So yeah, nobody's found a third sword in this seed. That's kind of obnoxious.
I mean, these things happen, and having silvers actually makes your Master Sword fight much more comfortable, especially you have the cape and half magic, so you can use that magic now to make your first 2 phases quite a bit easier, and then do not need much more magic to do the silvers fight.
Alright, MalXantholos gets a double and then a triple. Going for the Ocarina of Time stretch, 2, 3, 1, and there we go.
Pretty much on a perfect fight, or something close to it at least. Can't really be much better than that.
Yeah, I don't think there was a real good way to get a triple on that first setup there. Yeah, opening those chests on the way up Ganon's Tower was absolutely the correct thing to do in this situation, just because Tempered Sword would save you way more time, and there were very few items left, honestly.
MalXantholos opening the scan fight with the Somaria spin strats. It is
nice.
much more complicated than it looks, since you need to move in a specific way for it to work. But it actually allows you to do consistent double spins on Ganon with the Master Sword, even if he does not stand close to a wall or too close to a wall. So yeah, actually showing some very nice tech to make this fight quite a bit faster.
Though we do see that it does seem to take, does seem to add quite a bit of lag here.
Yeah, especially in the second phase with all the fire beds, that additional Somaria block does create a lot of lag. But
into phase 3, just needs to land 4 more blows here, or 3 now, and then we can head into the final phase where it's just spin and shoot a silly arrow at its face.
Yeah, if Ganon stops teleporting anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
gets even an immediate stun, so gets an early silver in. This might be the double. Nah, triple, he was too far away for a triple to make it. The timing is very tight on that.
Alright, there it goes. MalXantholos finishing off Ganon, and will be crossing the bridge in just a few seconds. There you have it, MalXantholos finishing off this race at an official time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 59 seconds. Did you believe in Pendant Pod? No, he did not. And
not really.
If that message can only show up when Pod is a pendant, good on you, devs.
I don't think it is limited to that, but yeah. GG's definitely to MalXantholos, played pretty well. Had a bit of luck with some of his routing decisions, but I definitely need to take my leave now. I see him ready for an interview, so I will take my leave so he can join in, and you will have him for an interview. Yeah. GG's MalXantholos, and see you all. Thanks for the nice race. It was a great fun. It was great fun commentating.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, and good luck with your race.
All right. Well, welcome, MalXantholos, and congratulations on that win.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, that's gonna basically make your seating within the bracket just as good as it could have possibly been for this. I mean, I don't know what your actual record is, but it certainly can't have been bad because I knew you were already locked for first place.
I definitely didn't expect to have that good of a run through this group.
Yes, quite good. Yeah, so this was a heck of a seed. So the first thing I wanted to ask was about sort of the opening section.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we saw, like right off the bat, at least at Kakariko, was we saw the words. We saw the lamp and hook shot, and glove.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting here like, well, that screams out East Death Mountain just as hard as I could hear it. Turned out it wasn't that important because it had to be one of those Aga seeds. But when you see that set of items, what are you thinking?
Well, actually, I considered both. On the one hand, East Death Mountain. On the other hand, actually, also Aghanim, because, well, hookshot and gloves, yeah. Also open up the entire Western Dark World after doing Aga, so I was already kind of concerned about that. Sadly, I forgot about it a little bit later when I went up the mountain, got the sword from the old man, and yeah, then I just left for Hyrule Castle, and I didn't really like this play at that point, because if it was an Aga seed, it would be a double trip to Hyrule Castle, and that seemed very unnecessary. And then I got the Master Sword from Hyrule Castle even, and then I was like, oh man, I can do Aga now, completely in logic even, but I don't have Moon Pearl. Moon Pearl might be on mountain. If I had Moon Pearl already, I would have done Aga by that point, I think. Maybe not, because 8 items on mountain.
Or maybe if you had just done the mountain first and then headed that direction, you might have done Aga. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think so, not without Moon Pearl. I mean, in this seed, it was not possible to do Aga with Moon Pearl, of course, but
right.
I didn't know that at the point, of course.
Yeah, and of course the Eastern play taking, also being kind of a big deal at that point that you needed to do. You're not going to not do the 5, like the 4 items in Eastern and then the 3 items in Sahasrara, right? Without doing. We're not going to go to Aga first.
Yeah, at least not without Moon Pearl. If I had Moon Pearl, I would have considered skipping Eastern. Maybe I would have done it, but it's difficult. I mean, The hookshot in the combination with gloves is, of course, interesting because it opens everything in the Darkwood, but on the other hand, just give me a hammer or mitts and suddenly I have normal Darkwood access and I can save 2 or 3 minutes.
So your opponent found the Titan's mitts well before you did because they elected to do Thieves Town first, but you at roughly the same time went and found the mirror, which was also pretty important for the seed. And so just those little routing differences can make a lot of the differences as far as the seed goes. Your opponent was far more, I would say, thorough with the checks, wanted to get all the things in the general area. And sometimes that can be a good idea, and sometimes it's just going to lead to a situation like this, unfortunately. But, you know, at any case, I wouldn't say that this was a lucky win for you because you definitely had all of the skills necessary to put together the run.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I found this very difficult to play actually because of there were so many options, and after I went to Skywoods, and I was at first considering to just full clear that dungeon entirely if I don't find anything giving me Darkwood access, but then of course there's the hammer and the first item I obtain, and then I was like, okay, well, let me just skip the rest. Now I have a way easier way to get back here, and just let me route into Hype Cave, and yeah, on that route I got the flippers. The flippers gave me the mirrors, and I had the swamp play, and everything just led far away from. Then I had got the bow from Death Mountain, and everything led away from doing Thieves Town and the rest of Skywoods. And when I went back there, it was basically almost my last location, but I wasn't too concerned at that point because I was still looking for a lot of items at that point, 4 or 5.
So I do have to ask, why did you drop to the ice boss?
I just wanted to know.
All right, that'll do. I was sitting here thinking maybe if it's like a real easy boss, you could do that for 3 chests and maybe a sword.
I mean, if it would have been something like Vanilla Ice Armors or I think Vanilla Ice Armors I would have done. In the hope to get a sword or a silvers, but I think.
Where were the silly swords in this game? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's a very good question.
It's like we still don't know. Yagamoth did right side GT; they weren't there either.
Maybe both behind Ice Trinix.
Yeah, could be. Could be like a lot of the stuff in Thieves Town, or not Thieves Town, Turtle Rock. Or Meyer that didn't get checked, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we got. Well, we got 1 item out of Meyer, yeah. I don't recall if it was 1 or 2 items in Meyer. But there's some stuff, of course. I don't know if Yaga played Red Bomb or.
I believe he did. Yeah. It was just garbage, although it was free blue potions from the ferry. We did have that.
Better than 3 normal bees from the other ferry.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got Yagamoth into the Aga 2 fight here. About to finish it up. I don't know if you want to stick around for the second interview or not, but you're welcome to. Otherwise, if you have any last remarks, feel free to let us know. And
well, I guess I stick around, but
okay.
I mean, why not?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, but you mentioned the swords, and what I was a little bit concerned about was my Desert Palace play. Because Desert Palace didn't yield anything important except maybe the Horse Magic from the Green Pendant.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that was was unfortunate. I thought it was going to be. It was an interesting play to me at the time, but then again, turns out both players ended up doing that anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I of course didn't know that, so I was quite a bit concerned about that desert play because it was. I didn't feel too great in the seat at that point because of those very late mids, and I was thinking, well, if you just do the first chest in Skullwoods, or maybe everything in Skullwoods, so then you also have the Bombos medallion, can just go to Thieves Town, get the mids from there, do Hammer Packs for Flute, and yeah. I think that was a pretty nice route through the seed if you were a little bit more thorough in this Darkwood region.
Yeah. I mean, really, to do this well, you would have had to do back of Skull Woods and the back of Thieves Town in sort of the same go, which I don't know if there'd be too many people who would do that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's right. That's definitely a huge time commitment if you do it. But it would have been the right play in this seat. Yeah. So, of course, I always start to wonder about what did my opponent do? Did he just do everything in the best way in the seat? So there's always a chance. That's always a little bit concerning.
All right, Yagamoth. Ooh, getting a little bit bothered by the torch there. Should be finishing it off right here. There we go. Ganon going down. And we're going to cross the bridge here with about an 11.5-minute difference between these two runners. Still quite a good time for each of these, given the amount of siege you had to do. Like 174 is not a small collection rate.
GG's.
There goes Yagamoth finishing off this seed with a official time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 42 seconds. We'll see if Yagamoth decides to join us here or not. And that sounds like a Yagamoth to me. Welcome. Congratulations on finishing this mess.
Thank you. And GG, Xantholos. Congratulations on being top seed in the group.
Yeah, GG's.
And, congratulations to yourself on making it to the brackets either way.
I set myself a bit louder. I hope that's okay.
That's just fine. It's a little better on my end, too. So that was a thing. I'm sorry for what this seed did to you there, because I mean you found the Titans mids well before your opponent did, on account of going into the back of Thieves Town, but ultimately that just led to you to have more places to look before finding that mirror, right? For some reason, you're not coming through, Yagamoth. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's just on my end. There we go. Yeah.
Right, sorry. Yeah, I think I have a bit of a loose cable. But yeah, usually when you find Titans mids early, that's probably good. Well, sometimes it can lead you astray just a little more, and that's how that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Turns out we did actually end up finding 2 Trinexes in this seed. I don't know if you didn't go to the ice boss, but MalXantholos did, just for a minute. And that was an ice Trinex, so that's fun. But turns out that neither one of them was actually required.
Yep. except for the Palace of Darkness boss, where for some reason I was suddenly convinced that it was a crystal for a while. Just
Ooh,
like I went over there.
that's
So
that's what
that's
I
why.
thought. I was like, does Yagamoth think Pod is a crystal here, or is he just going for this play, thinking, I'm so far behind. If it's not here, I'm dead.
No, I had no idea whether I was ahead or behind because the routing in my mind could play out so much different. Where, I mean, before Aga, I did literally everything, so I basically couldn't be ahead there. But the rest of the seed, Titansmiths early, may or may not be good, I don't know. So I had no idea there. But effectively, I didn't piece together whether Palace of Darkness was a pendant or not until way too late. Usually, you see all 3 pendants and then you know the rest are crystals, but this time you knew all the crystals and the last one is a pendant. So basically, my tracker has like 2 question marks. One is for the boss and one is for the pendant or crystal. And for some reason, I interpreted the question mark at Misery Mire as, oh, I don't know whether it's a pendant or a crystal yet, so it could be Pod is the last one. No, I couldn't.
Yeah. Whoops. I thought you had the Turtle Rock map at that point. Maybe I was making that up.
Yeah, I did. I knew Turtle Rock, but basically my idea was for a brief second, which is why I turned around and went to Pod, that, oh, it's a 50-50 between Misery Mire and Pod, whether the last crystal is here
Oh,
or
you
there.
didn't have the Mire map. Okay.
Well, I did, but...
Oh, you just forgot. Got it.
Yeah, it's just... my brain sometimes works in mysterious ways.
Brain's gonna brain sometimes.
Yeah. Also, sorry for dragging this out because I don't check the race room until I'm
Hey,
not
no
done,
problem.
because
I
psych
appreciate it.
myself out otherwise.
I appreciate it quite a bit. I can definitely understand not wanting to know, and I can definitely understand that. Thank you, and I appreciate seeing the end of the race either way. All right, so both of you had an excellent showing here. There's nothing. I can't argue with anything you guys did other than the pod play. That's about it. Thank you both for showing this off. Is there anything else you two would like to say before we wrap it up here?
I'm mainly just glad both of my races against Xantholos were just like routing decisions rather than the mistakes being the deciding factor, because here, even if I didn't make that pod mistake, it didn't matter. I was definitely not going to win this one with that time difference. So GG to Xantholos and best of luck in the next stage.
Yes, thank you very much, and of course also GG's to you, and also best of luck for the next stage. Yeah, it will be interesting. We have opponents from Group A, also a group that's not decided yet. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. Also, it's my first time to get to the bracket stage of a main tournament, so that's also pretty cool for me. Yeah. And of course, also the usual stuff. Thanks a lot to Dr. Bombastic and to Bobtastic, oh sorry, and to Ryan for commentating this race, to Brave for tracking. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you both once again. If you liked what you saw here, there's a couple of runners here on stream, and they also are really, really good when they're practicing or doing anything else on their stream. So you should probably give them a follow, even if you don't want to. That's the rules. Once again, I also want to thank our tracker, Breve, for keeping up with the buttons, which I would do a terrible, terrible job of. And of course, Rylan Tankir for commentating with me for the most part, although he did have his own race to get to, which should be getting underway over on SpeedGaming Deutsch pretty soon. So you might want to go check that out. And you can still watch even if you don't speak German. It's still rando. But yeah, Once again, thank you to to everyone else here involved, and I will just say that I've been Dr. Bobtastic, and I will see you all at a later occasion. Good night, everybody.